"You're awesome," laughed Simon sarcastically as he gave Alex a thumbs up. "I'd like to ask which car you're buying for $2 million. Or is that only half the total cost? Why don't you tell us?" "That's right, tell us all," laughed Walter. Simon continued, $4 million? I don't know there was such an expensive car in the entire country." Walter scoffed at Alex. "You're apparently so rich, and yet you're still coming to our house to eat our food?" The rest of Kelly's family started to jeer as well, but Alex ignored them and continued to eat. He felt no obligation to explain himself to them. A few minutes later, Margaret spoke up. She said, "Alex, you can't just keep eating and ignoring us. I was under the impression that you want to date my granddaughter and so get into our good books. Since you bought a car, why can't you tell us about it?" She looked at him sternly. She believed that his answer was sure to demonstrate to Kelly for once and for all what a this man was. Alex didn't answer. He had guessed exactly what Margaret was trying to do. He was actually very unimpressed with the Phillips family and didn't care at all what they thought of him. Margaret and her family interrupted Alex's attitude as contempt and a lack of respect. Kelly knew her grandmother and understood that Alex's approach was making her furious. No matter what car Alex had bought, it was best to just be honest about it, or the situation would get worse. She tried to settle things. "Alex, you and Grandma..." Suddenly there was a loud thud. Margaret had slammed her fist on the table, startling everyone. "Kelly, take a look at this man you insist on defending," she said angrily. Then she turned her gaze to Alex and said, "If you can't even be bothered to tell us, then leave. Go on, you're not welcome here." Alex slowly put down his cutlery and met Margaret's gaze. He could see the burning anger in her eyes, but he remained calm. "It's a I bought a Alex said. Margaret's expression became more furious. She glared at Alex, and her hands clenched into fists on the table. He obviously couldn't afford a so now he was just trying to make fools of them. "Alex, how much did you pay for the Brian asked as he looked at him. He knew that everyone was angry with Alex, especially Margaret, and he realized that if he could help them embarrass Alex or help them chase him off, he would win the respect of everyone in the family. This Alex was a thick-skinned, and Brian had his way of dealing with it. "Over $2 million, Alex replied, looking at him. "Oh." Brian was surprised. He had not expected Alex to be able to lie so masterfully without showing any signs of panic. He seemed to be an expert liar. No wonder Kelly had been fooled by him. He continued to question Alex about the car. "So what kind of did you order? How much did you have to pay in advance? What's its top speed? How many seconds for it to go from 0 to 60? Having bought his own, Brian knew what was involved. He was sure that he could catch Alex out by asking these questions that he wouldn't be able to answer. Alex frowned and looked at Brian. He said, "What? Why are you asking me all these questions? When I bought the car, it was very simple. I just asked them to manufacture it to the highest standards possible and using the most advanced technology available." He only managed to evoke more contempt and loathing from those around him. They couldn't believe that he would lie so outrageously. Brian clapped his hands toward him and said, "I'm asking you all the same detailed questions that the company asks any customer who wants to order a car. If you can't answer the questions, it means you clearly haven't actually ordered a car from them. Although I have to admit that your answer is very clever, that you asked them to do it according to the best standards. Of course, that would make all the other questions unnecessary." It sounded like praise for Alex, but everyone could hear the irony in Brian's words. Simon said disapprovingly, "You want us to believe that not only have you bought a Ferrari, but also that you ask them to give you the highest spec available? If you have that much money, I suggest that you buy yourself a decent set of clothes first." Brian said with a chuckle, "Hey, Simon, maybe Alex really does own several $100 million. Maybe he keeps it all in the First Republic Bank." Another round of laughter arose in the garden. Yes, that's right, he's a billionaire. Maybe he actually lives in the First Republic Bank. Simon was laughing so hard that his stomach hurt. He gave Brian a thumbs up and said, "Buddy, he's finished." Alex frowned and started to breathe heavily. "Alex," Kelly said softly. She felt that Brian and her family had gone too far. Alex adjusted his mood and smiled at Kelly. "It's all right," he reassured her. Since these people were treating him with animosity, he decided to get his own back. He grabbed Kelly's hand, thinking to himself, "Are you all just gonna let me grab her and not say anything? Aren't you all afraid that a poor like me is gonna Kelly? I'm interested to see what you'll do." Kelly blushed when he took her hand, as her worry for him quickly turned into warmth and surprise. When Margaret saw them, she wanted to kill Alex there and then. Brian stood up and walked over to them, saying, "All right, since you said you ordered a for $2 million, then I'll ask you the simplest question. When did you order your car?" With a smile, he continued, "If you can't even tell us that, then please, show some dignity and leave. Otherwise, I don't mind helping you find your way out." "Brian is ex-military, so kicking out the shall be no problem for him," Yvonne took the opportunity to shout. "Why are you—" Kelly wanted to fight for Alex, but he pulled her back and smiled confidently. "It's fine," he said. Facing Brian's ultimatum, Alex didn't show the slightest hint of fear. He looked even more relaxed than Brian. "Less than 2 months ago," he said in answer to Brian's question. Hearing his reply, Brian laughed contemptuously. "Ha ha!" He laughed as he looked at Alex with eyes full of disdain. "How much longer do you want to keep up this pretense? I know for a fact that it takes at least 3 months to get a car from. If you don't believe me, you can check it out on your own. And you told us that you've ordered the car, which uses the most advanced technology and to the highest standards. How could that be manufactured in less than 3 months? Come on, explain that to everyone. If you can't, then there's nothing else to say, and you can please leave right now." "Speak," shouted Simon. "He knows the game is up," said a cousin. Another cousin told everyone, "I just checked online and found that Brian's right. The shortest time to get a 3 months. And you're trying to tell us that you're getting the highest standard car manufactured and delivered in less than 2 months. Why don't you just leave now? We've had enough of your lies." The family members all glared at Alex. Alex drank a mouthful of tea and said calmly, "I gave them an extra few thousand and asked them to work overtime to make my car more quickly. Are you satisfied with that?" "Hey, I originally wanted to let you leave this place with dignity. I never thought you could be so thick-skinned," Brian said in a condescending tone. He turned and said to the family, "Everyone, I think I understand why this person said that. It was reported in the news recently that the CEO of came to America himself to deliver a top-of-the-range car worth $2 million to a mysterious buyer. He must have seen the article and made up this lie to try to prove to us that he's rich." "That's right, search CEO, you'll see the article," Yvonne told the others enthusiastically. The others searched on their cell phones, and it was exactly as Brian said. Brian said confidently, he thought he was very smart, but in fact, it only proved how stupid he is. Only a few people in America can afford these cars. Did he really think that we would believe one of them was him? I don't know if he's insulting everyone's IQ or insulting his own IQ. His gaze fell on Alex as he told him, "I'll give you one last chance. Leave immediately." Alex coughed softly and said, "You're imagining things. You haven't proved that I'm a liar at all. Everything I said is true." "How shameless," said one of Kelly's aunts. Her husband agreed. "I've never met such a shameless person in my life." "Simon, throw this out. Use your taekwondo on him," shouted the aunt. Brian continued, "All right, since you don't want to leave by yourself, I'll have to throw you out. But after I've finished with you, you might well have to go to the hospital." As he said this, he cracked his neck, making a grating sound. He walked toward Alex. Kelly spread out her arms and stood in front of Alex, shouting, "Stop, don't touch him." "It's fine," Alex said as he moved Kelly out of the way. She was frantic with worry for him. If he had been healthy, she knew that Brian would be no match for him. But now Alex was sick, and he could easily get badly hurt. Alex sat on the chair, and with a trace of a smile on his face, he said to Brian, "I advise you not to touch me. If you do, I guarantee you'll regret it." He didn't seem to be afraid at all. How can he be so calm? Brian thought, and he hesitated. He had been a professional taekwondo fighter, so he was very sensitive to his opponent's mood. He couldn't sense any real aggression or fear in Alex. However, the calmness in his words sent a shiver up his spine. Fear of the unknown overwhelmed him, and his heart was enveloped with an acute sense of danger. "You heard correctly. There'll be someone delivering my car in a while. What I said is the truth, and this will be revealed. Why are you in such a hurry?" Alex asked. He was still surprisingly unflustered. Brian replied, "That sounds fine. Don't think that we're bullying you. We just want you to tell the truth. If there isn't really a car coming, I hope you finally know your place and will leave. If not, I promise that I won't show you any mercy." Alex looked at him and agreed. When Brian had insulted him with the words, "Know your place," he clenched his fists but remained composed. Just at that moment, headlights shone into the courtyard, and a sapphire blue car pulled up. Walter looked carefully at the car for a few seconds before exclaiming in a surprise, "It seems to be a
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.